till I share the video again. Tell me, what are the two secrets to active listening? What are the two secrets to active, as you have watched in the video?
Concentration.
Yeah,
Looking at the eyes of the speaker.
to be completely attentive. Okay, and as
there
any
must be
other
a kind of
skill,
interaction.
Practice.
practice. Excellent, amazing. So
Interaction
the two-
between the listeners
of course,
and relationship between the listener and the others. Yes.
that's great. So it's the two secrets to the success of the listening skill, especially active listening, to be wholly and completely listening attentively to the speaker and practice the listening, because it's a skill like any other skills. It needs practice and it needs focusing. And with active listening, we mean what kind of language do we use with our mentees or our trainees or our learners? What kinds of language? Is it the verbal or non-verbal language?
Twice. Verbal.
Yes,
non-verbal.
both of them, the verbal and the non-verbal language. What do we mean by the verbal language?
Questions we ask.
Yes, questions. And we have to ask what kinds of questions?
Good questions that shows that we were actively listening.
Yeah, good questions, of course, not passive questions, but of course, good questions. Okay, what about the nonverbal language? What kind of nonverbal language should we use with our mentees or trainees?
Like eye contact.
Yeah, excellent. Eye contact, of course. Listening with the eyes also. Listening with the eyes, not only. Yes, and paying attention. Excellent. Okay, let's go on and complete the video. So this is the kind of listeners we want to be with our learners, okay?
Ask a person what they've
Okay.
been up to lately. That's your question. And in their talking turn, they tell you that they have been doing diving lately.
So did we stop here or earlier? Tell me, please.
Earlier.
Okay.
Yes, I think it was earlier.
Yes, okay, again. So what are the real characteristics of a good listener? What are the real characteristics or the main important skills we need in a good listener? Till the video works.
But before anybody does
Okay.
that well, there are two secrets, two prerequisites to active listening. Number one, you have to commit. You have to put aside whatever else might be distracting you and make listening a real priority. Good listening is first and foremost a choice that you make every time somebody speaks. Number two, it takes practice. Like any skill, you have to work at it. The good news is that listening is not mysterious or complicated. So let's talk about 4 qualities of active listening that you can put into practice. First, active listening involves nonverbal communication. And there are 2 sides to this. On the one hand, you're demonstrating that you're engaged in paying attention nonverbally. You put your devices completely away, you make eye contact, your body posture is open and oriented toward the other person. Now on the other side, you're also noticing the speaker's nonverbal cues. There's an expression, you listen with your eyes. And part of that means you're noticing what's happening with the person visually on their mood or their emotion that they're showing. Do they look nervous, frustrated, annoyed? You can pick up on that by actively observing their nonverbal communication. Second, active listening involves verbal communication. Again, there are 2 sides to this. The most obvious part is asking good questions. Probably the most common pattern that good listeners demonstrate is that they ask a good question and then they let the speaker fully answer it. Like a good mental health therapist will ask thoughtful questions and then stop talking for a while and let the client speak. Honestly, what we're paying for in many cases is just somebody to listen carefully to us. So a good question is a huge part of the listening pie. And the other part of verbal communication is those small utterances that show the other person that we're following them, like, I hear you. Yeah, that makes sense. Sometimes it's not even full words. It might just be, oh. Those little utterances keep us engaged and show the other person that we're following. Third, active listening involves responding to what somebody just said. So the pattern goes like this. You ask a question, they respond for however long that takes, and at the end of that talking term, you give an informed response to them. So let's say you just ask a person what they've been up to lately. That's your question. And in their talking turn, they tell you that they have been doing diving lately. So you actively listen for a while they're talking. At the end of their talking turn, it's your turn again. And this is where you show that you were actively following along and were interested in what they were saying. And you can do this by reflecting back what you just heard. You might say something like, wow, that sounds like an exciting sport. That's really cool that you're doing that. Or you could ask another follow-up question. I had no idea that you were into diving. How did you first get into that? Of course, you could do a little bit of both, like I just did. You could make an informed, reflective statement and then ask a follow-up question. The key is to respond to what they have just been saying. What you don't want to do is just look at them blankly and not react when they're done talking. And you've probably had somebody do this to you. You tell them about part of your day or something about your life, and they don't react. They just have this stone face. That's not active listening. If you want a gold star for active listening, then you have to respond to what they just said. Fourth, keep the focus on them and let them talk. Now, this one might seem obvious because you're listening, but when you decide to go into that listening mode, just make a decision that this is going to be all about the other person talking and not about you. Resist that temptation to jump in with your own story or to change the subject to your favorite topic. Keep your talking turns and questions concise and then stick to whatever topic they're interested in. Now, eventually, once they've done plenty of talking, there will usually be an opportunity later in the conversation for you to share your experiences. But my rule of thumb is to dedicate at least the first half of the conversation to pure active listening. So I hope these 4 tips help you listen completely in your next conversation. Question of the day, which one of these tips do you need the most work on? I would love to read what you have to say below in that comment section. And I do have 2 follow-up videos on listening coming soon.
So which one of these skills do you want to focus more on?
All of them must has
But which skill is the most important one which impresses you?
is to be engaged with the speaker and to make him feel that you are communicating with him by saying or making some gestures or saying
Yes.
Really.
Yes, even the simple and small utterances are very important to prove that you are listening actively. And again, why do we listen actively? Why? What is the reason we listen actively to the others? What is
To
the reason
respond to
for that?
questions, to react,
To
and
respond,
to interact.
yeah. Yes,
and
to
to
respond
react
to the
and
questions and
act.
to react, of course, and to understand
And-
what the listener, what the speaker is talking about. And this is very important when we are listening to
keep the-
others.
Yes,
Yes,
and
Mr.
keep the
Ahmed?
focus to keep the focus on talking to others and give them big ears to listen to their ideas and to interact with them.
Yes, that's great. To give the main focus on the speaker and to put yourself aside without any interruption, without any kind of giving a stone face, without taking or sitting aside and not watching or noticing how is he suffering or facing a problem and so on. So it's very important for all these reasons. So there are the 3 A's of active listening. What do you think are the 3 A's of active listening? There are 3 words which starts with the letter A, which are very important for anyone who's listening actively. What do you think are these 3 A's? To be
Attention.
attentive. Great. What else? Try to think. What else? Try to think.
Active.
Active.
Active. Excellent. What else? So attentive, active, and
Analysis.
you're great. Okay, let's see together. When we talk about the three A's of active listening, we talk about the attitude. To show interest in what's being said. This is very important, to be attentive. Attention, of course, stay focused on what's being said and don't get distracted. And we, as Egyptians, we have a very big problem. When someone is telling us about a problem, we jump.
interrupt.
Yeah, of course. The first point we interrupt and we say والله we have the same problem. احنا يعني عارف أكتر منك. And this is a very disadvantage from the listener to jump up or to interrupt the speaker. When we talk about active listening, it's important to stop and give your complete thoughts to the speaker and try to support and guide him without interrupting, using simple utterances and your facial expressions, your eye contact, listen with your eyes, and never, ever, ever try to tell him about yourself, okay? So attention is very important. Stay focused on what's being said and don't get distracted. And adjustment, adjust your assumptions based on what's being said. So you have to help them according to the reasons or the talking he told you about. So how to achieve the 3 A's in active listening? Can you tell me how to achieve the 3 A's? How can you express your attitude, your attention, and the adjustment? How can we achieve the 3 A's in active listening? Try to think. The great mentors, try to think. How can we achieve the 3 A's? I am all ears. Yes?
Practice, to practice.
To practice.
To listen a lot.
Great. Yes, to practice a lot. Active listening. Okay, what else? Excellent. Okay,
To
let's
have
see
our
together.
attitudes. Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly. So appear genuinely interested by making, as you said, encouraging responses such as and interesting. Use appropriate nonverbal language such as looking directly into people's eyes, nodding your head, leaning slightly toward them, frowning or smiling where appropriate, so according to the situation. Avoid interrupting mentors and mentees while they are talking. And this happens with our learners. You have a child who's talking to you and you are collecting your objects or writing on the board or correcting something. So when someone is talking to you, you have to avoid interrupting with any kind of means and focus with them. Remember and show interest, of course, in things they've said in the past. By the way, how did the meeting with your manager and so on? To talk about their previous experience and at the end, summarize the key elements of what each of you said. And resist the impulse always to turn the conversation to your experience and opinions. So try to be away for some time and try to focus on the other's problems, okay? And let's watch another video of some active listening in practice. How can we practice active listening? This is a model. As you listen, know the active listening skills. So here you can write down some notes or some comments while you are listening, okay? And please tell me when you can hear the sound, and please don't go away. I feel scared without you, okay? Just tell me we are here, okay? This is an example. You can write
I'm having a good day, huh?
Yeah. You know that licensing deal I've been working with, that San Diego company? I was super gung-ho about it. Thought it was going to be a good opportunity, but now I'm just not so sure.
So you were feeling really excited about it, and now you're having second thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you know I've done tons of these deals, and sometimes it takes a week, maybe a couple weeks, a month at the most, but this is just ridiculous.
So you're not used to having negotiations drag on like this?
Yeah. You know, we were pretty close to signing the deal a couple times, and then they'd ask for another concession, and then we met them more than halfway. But then I get an email this morning, and they want to push back the signing until, I don't know, the end of the year.
Well,
Kidding me?
Yeah, it sounds like you've given them as much as you can, and now this is just too much to ask.
Yeah. You know, I got a friend who works in the area too, and he said he's surprised that it's taken this long. Plus, he said there's other companies who'd be interested in our product, so.
So you got another perspective.
Yeah. I think I've just been, like, too focused in on trying to make this happen, and that I just lost sight of the big picture. So, what I need to do is just develop more leads in the area.
Well, it sounds like you're feeling ready to move on.
Yeah, I think I am. Hey, thanks for the help.
You're welcome. And keep me posted, okay?
Yeah, will do.
Okay. So how did she practice the active listening?
By
How
asking
did-
a question.
Yeah, she asked questions. That's great. Yes, Merve, so tell us.
He speaks less and listens more.
Excellent. Exactly. She speaks less and listens more. And yeah, exactly. This is very important. What else?
Some nonverbal gestures she was showing.
Yeah, excellent. She uses some nonverbal gestures like nodding her head and just maybe looking at him carefully. Okay, what else? How is she responding to his answers or his experience?
She clarify and reflect feelings.
Yeah, she clarifies and reflects her feelings, and of course, she gives him more care and attention. Of course, excellent. That's right. Okay, so let's go on. So again, there are some two secrets to active listening. Of course, to ask good questions and to, of course, practice active listening. Okay, so this is it was a real model of a successful listener, and how can we reflect or give feedback to the speaker to solve a problem or to discuss an issue. Okay, so again, let's go on. Are you tired? Are you tired?
Yeah, it's listed in your session, Ms. Fergus.
Okay, so let's we're gonna finish sooner, inshallah. Okay, but when I'm with you, I time flies. I like spending a lot of time with you because I learn a lot from you. So here again, the 3 A's of active listening: attitude, attention, and adjustment. And how to achieve the 3 A's in active listening: to appear interested by making encouraging responses, by using nonverbal language, avoid interrupting, of course, and remember the show interest in the things they've said in the past, and summarize the key elements, and resist the impulse always to turn the conversation to your experience or opinions. and we watched a video, and here is another video. It's fantastic, by the way. Tell me when you can hear the sound, okay? Can you hear the sound?
No.
No.
Okay, so can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
So can you hear the sound?
No.
Okay, so it's from it's not from YouTube, so I'll send you on WhatsApp. Okay, so here is another very important point: using effective language. So do you remember what are the strategies for the active observation or the successful observation? We talked about active listening, and this is a second point, which is using effective language. And do you remember what's the third strategy? It was building a good rapport, and we have talked about it in details. Okay, so let's see together what do we mean by using effective language. Okay, here is when we talk about using effective language, we have a code for some tasks. We can check when we are communicating with others. So apart from listening actively, attentively, encouragingly, there are certain ways of communicating as a mentor, which it will be important for you to try to develop. These include, here are the codes for the tasks of ways of the effective language we can check with our mentees, our learners, and so on. When we are communicating with others, we have to check eliciting, getting someone to talk. So what is the code for this way of communication? Eliciting and getting someone to talk. What is the code for this task? E, yes. Also, we have to be sure that we are asking questions. So questioning and asking for clarification. And what are the codes for these tasks?
QC.
Q and C, excellent. And there are other ways of communication like questioning, probing. What do you mean by probing? Asking for deeper meaning. Sometimes when we are listening to someone, he's giving you a lot of details. But inside these details, you feel distracted. So how can you get to the point again? By asking for deeper meaning. And what are the codes for these tasks? Q and prep, yeah. And there are other ways like paraphrasing, also known as reflecting back. For example, Noha said, I was lucky with my supervisors, so they always guiding me and telling me what shall I do. So we can paraphrase it. She has amazing supervisors, or she has good mentors. So by paraphrasing, we mean to say the sentence in another meaning. So what is the code for this task? It's a para, okay? And also the another way of communication is presenting alternatives. By alternatives, we mean giving options to the speaker. And what is the code for this way of communication? What? A, yes. And also structuring and guiding to action. And the code for this task is S. So try to keep in your mind these codes for tasks, because we're gonna apply, okay? So again, let's count together the ways of communication. What is the first one? What is the first one? Eliciting. Excellent. The second?
Questioning.
Questioning and asking for clarification. Number 3? Yeah, 3?
Questioning. Probing.
Probing.
What deeper meaning.
Excellent. Number 4?
Paraphrasing.
Reflecting back. 5?
Presenting
alternatives. And the last one? Structuring and guiding to action. Here we mean giving solutions. So here there are some examples of teacher or mentor-mentee relationship and here's a kind of conversation. We're gonna write some examples and try to mention the codes for these ways of communication. Okay, so read the following dialogue between a mentor and teacher about problems that the teacher is facing in her classroom. Place a code next to each of the mentor's questions in the text below. The first two questions have been done for you. Let's see together. Teacher, I don't know as if I have any control over the class. Mentor, could you give me an example? If there's something in particular you don't feel you have control over. So here it's E. What do you mean by E?
Eliciting.
Yeah, eliciting. We try to ask for more examples. Teacher, well, I suppose what I'm most concerned about is I just can't seem to get the students to listen to me. Mentor, when you say they don't listen to you, what do you mean? That they never listen to you at particular times? What kind of quotes is it? It's Q and C. What do you mean? What do we mean by Q and C?
Questioning
And asking for clarification. Wonderful, wonderful, bravo, wonderful. Teacher, mostly when they should, otherwise they don't know what to do. Mentor, you mean when you give instructions? What code can we use here? You mean when you give instructions?
Question for and propping.
Excellent, propping. And by the way, it can be more than a way of communication. It can be asking for probing, and it can be
question for clarification.
It can be asking for clarification, and it can be eliciting. Okay, teacher, yes, particularly when I give instructions, I end up repeating myself over and over and shouting sometimes. Mentor, oh, I see. Do other teachers teach this group? So what code can we use here? Oh, I see. Do other teachers teach this group?
Paraphrasing.
Maybe paraphrasing, maybe.
Structuring.
Structuring, maybe. Do other teachers teach this group? What kind of communication is it? It's a questioning. Yeah. Yeah, it's a questioning and asking for clarification. Oh, I see. Do other teachers teach this group? Let's move to other models. Teacher, yes. Mentor, do you and do they have the same problem? And do they have the same problem? What kind? Yeah, questioning and asking for clarification. Okay, teacher, oh, I don't know. Mentor, perhaps you could ask them and also find out what they do. So what way of communication is it?
Paraphrasing.
Yeah, it's paraphrasing. So again, here is the code: E for eliciting, Q and C for questioning, Q and for questioning and asking for probing. So we can use these ways of communication and these codes for the tasks when we are mentoring our learners or our friends. So here's supporting resources for the new teacher mentor. Here are more explanations about the paraphrasing process, clarifying and additional questions. We can use, for example, when we are paraphrasing communicates that the listener has heard what the speaker said, understood what was said, cares. Paraphrasing involves either restating in your own words or summarizing. So when we talk about paraphrasing, we mean two things: restating in our own words or summarizing what the speaker is saying. Some possible paraphrasing stems include the following. So we can use these phrases when we are paraphrasing. In other words, what I am hearing, then what I hear you saying. From what I hear you say, I am hearing many things. As I listen to you, I'm hearing. So we can use gentle phrases like these when we are talking to our friends or the people or the learners we are observing. Also, when we come to clarifying, No, they tend to elicit a defensive response. Clarifying communicates that the listener has heard what the speaker said, but does not fully understand what was said. So he asks for clarifying involves asking a question to gather more information, discover the meaning of the language used, get clarity about the speaker's reasoning, see connections between ideas, develop or maintain focus. So here some possible clarifying stems include the following. Would you tell me a little more about? Let me see if I understand. I'd be interested in hearing more about. So you can read, I'll send you the presentation and you can find more, inshallah. Here are also some medicinal questions. Help the colleague, hypothesis, what might happen. So these questions are a kind of solving problems. Analyze what worked or didn't, imagine possibilities, compare and contrast what was planned with what ensured. So some kinds of questions can be like these. What's another way you might, and this is very important, my dear colleagues and friends, when you are listening to someone, try not to talk about yourself or interrupt, but try to give him suggestions and answers to his problems or to his questions by using questions like these. Questions in a gentle and a more polite way, assuring that you are supporting and guiding him or her. So what's another way you might? You are trying to help him think of a solution to his problem. What would it look like if? What do you think would happen if? How was it will be different from something like this? What sort of an impact do you think? What criteria do you use to? When have you done something like before? So when you are mentoring someone, observing someone, or trying to giving a hand or putting your hand on his shoulder to give help, try to use simple questions, cool questions, gentle and polite at the same time. Okay, so here are some models of questions you can use with your mentees. And of course, building rapport and the trust. I think we are all familiar with this, so we can tackle. So what are some of your tips for building rapport with others, your teachers, your mentees, or your trainees? Can you tell me just in few points, how can we build rapport with our learners? And I'm sure we are all excellent examples and models of building rapport. What are your tips for building a good rapport with our learners or our mentees?
Getting down to their levels.
Yeah, excellent. Getting down to their levels, to be in their shoes. Excellent. To let them feel that you are the same, you are their friend, you are someone like them, you are feeling all their feelings and thoughts. Excellent. No. Okay. So pre-observation meeting, role play. Here, this is an activity to how to build a rapport. We'll skip it. So let's move to class observation, the last point. What's a class observation? What's the classroom observation? What's the classroom observation? Okay, is classroom observation formal or informal or both of them? Is anyone here?
Formal and informal.
Yeah, it can be formal and informal. So let's see. Classroom observation is one of the most useful means of successful mentoring. This can take place in great variety of ways. Informal meeting and sitting with the mentee for the lesson, observing part of the lesson. And here we come to a very important and a new technique. It's not new, but I think most of us need to try it. Maybe some of us tried it before, but I want to assure that I need all of you, inshallah, to try it this year. It's observing part of the lesson for you, for yourself, to observe yourself. I mean, self-observation is very important here. mentee self-observation technique by using a video recording. Have you ever tried to record yourself or to video your to have a video recording for your lesson? Have you ever tried it before? Have you ever tried to have a video record for your lesson or a part of your lesson, and what are the points to be improved and modified next time, and what are the good points which can be changed to better ones next time? Have you ever tried something like this before?
We hope to do that, but I haven't done before, really.
Okay, but I myself, inshallah, I hope I'll try it, inshallah. And abroad, most of the time they are recording their sessions to give comments or to improve themselves and modify their sessions one after another. Because self-observation is one of the most global ideas for improving ourselves as teachers or as mentees or mentors. Okay, so I hope you'll try it this year, inshallah, and I'll try it myself and discuss it with you bi'Iznillah. Okay, so here is classroom observation strategies. Watch this video and choose the word or phrase that you thought was most useful and why. So what's needed for in this video? So what shall we do here? How many things are we gonna do? We want 2 things here. The first one is to watch the video. Excellent. And the second point is
choose the word or phrase that you thought was most
yeah,
useful.
only when after watching, while you are watching the video, only choose one word or one phrase you thought was most useful with you and tell me why. Okay, so let's watch this video and tell me only one word or one phrase which is useful and why. Okay, and tell me please when you can hear the sound. It's about peer observation, by the way.
Peer observation at Ipswich Girls Grammar School is the process whereby a teacher arranges to come in and spend some time in the classroom of another teacher, looking at the strategies that are used within the class. We have a specific focus in that we're looking at lesson structure and particularly the articulation of lesson objective. When we started our quality teaching project, the first thing we did was quite an extensive literature review, and it was very clear from the literature that peer observation was one of the best strategies for professional development that we could provide for our staff. The teachers would have a short meeting before the lesson where they talk about what's going to happen in the lesson, what the objective is going to be, and how the lesson is going to flow.
Well, this is a grade 5 class, and our lesson today is teaching the children about how words are used by authors and readers to take meaning from different texts.
I'm really keen to see how you explicitly give your objective to the class and also your anticipatory set. That's something that I really want to focus on in my teaching.
So class, today's lesson, as you know, is about teaching and understanding tone and mood.
The teacher who's doing the observing goes in, he or she will have a little worksheet that they fill out. We call our peer observations VOTs, which is visit other teachers each term. And so the teacher is looking at, what did I see, what did I learn, what can I do to improve my own teaching as a result of what I've seen.
As we spoke about before the lesson, I was really keen to look at how you stated the objectives to the students and also the anticipatory set that you use.